juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
Blake Lively is spiraling into a meltdown after Judge Lyman completely dismantled her case, denying the ridiculous, overreaching legal requests she made.
The judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request.
And the court said no.
Every single attempt to manipulate the court has backfired, and now she's left humiliated, defeated, and out of options. The Hollywood power games won't save her now.
Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss.
The day the Hollywood elite illusion shattered, and Blake Lively took a legal beating so humiliating that even her own lawyers looked like they wanted to disappear into the walls.
Are her lawyers dumb?
This wasn't just a court hearing. This was a full-scale public embarrassment session, with Judge Louis J. Lyman absolutely demolishing her legal team like it was a live stand-up special. And guess what? The crowd was loving it.
It's intensely personal. It's getting more personal. They're going to discover more information that's going to make them angry. They're out to salvage their reputation, so there's not going to be an easy way to walk away from this and say, okay, let's just call it a day.
Lively walked in there like she was about to deliver the final blow to Justin Baldoni, flexing her Hollywood power, her A-list connections, and whatever fantasy world she's living in where she thinks the law works in her favor just because she's famous. But instead, she got legally body slammed so hard that even Ryan Reynolds knew better than to show up for the disaster.
You are not able to hold a logical thought, but guess what? I, as a judge, I am able to hold a logical thought, so we're gonna slap that down. You obviously cannot do that.
Oh, and speaking of humiliation, the judge didn't just reject her absurd legal demands. He played the leaked audio in open court. Yes, the same recording she and Ryan Reynolds have been desperately trying to bury. The one they thought they could erase from existence using their Hollywood strings.
And so I think there could be some argument about whether it was leaked and shouldn't have been leaked and should they have the information or what it may be. But no matter what happens, this is a damning quote.
Blake's whole case fell apart in real time, her credibility set on fire, and the best part, she couldn't do a damn thing about it. Baldoni, on the other hand, secured a major legal win, standing tall while Blake's entire reputation crumbled into dust. No PR spin, no TMZ leaks to save her, no celebrity besties rushing to defend her, just cold, hard reality smashing her in the face.
It is so clear Blake's case is falling apart. She's destroying her cred. Ryan Reynolds, too.
Now, let's talk about just how comically insane her legal requests were. Because the delusion was off the charts. Lively actually had the audacity to walk into that courtroom and demand 2.5 years of Baldoni's phone records, text messages, emails, location data, and doctor visits.
The judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request for 2.5 years worth of every message that Justin Baldoni and Justin Heath and the PR agents have ever sent to everybody, plus location data. We knew that was going to happen.
Yes, you read that right. She basically tried to turn a Hollywood lawsuit into a full-scale FBI surveillance operation, like she's starring in some kind of spy thriller instead of a courtroom drama. What the hell was she expecting to find? His Uber Eats receipts from 2022? His Amazon purchases from 3 Christmases ago? A random doctor's note saying, Mr. Baldoni had a headache today?
We have to distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for, which is an attorney's eyes only designation.
And the judge? He wasn't having a single second of her nonsense. He took one look at this ridiculous, overreaching subpoena and shut it down so fast you could almost hear the air get sucked out of Blake's ego. His words? Overly intrusive and disproportionate. Translation? Blake, are you out of your mind? Let's get real.
Blake Lively obtained all of these text messages through subpoena. Okay, what's subpoena? You can only issue a subpoena if you have an open legal case. So you have to have a valid legal case. I can't just issue a subpoena to, the New York Times.
Lively filed this lawsuit in December 2024, yet somehow she thinks she's entitled to Baldoni's personal data going back to 2022. The math is not mathing, the logic is not logicking, and Judge Lyman called her out in the most brutal way possible. This isn't the FBI, you don't get to track someone's every move. Boom. That right there is the moment her entire case took a nosedive into the pavement.
She wants different rules for her than she wants for Baldoni and his team, which I don't think the judge will agree with.
This isn't some Hollywood movie where she gets to write the script. This is real life, real court, real legal consequences. Blake was out here trying to rewrite the legal system like she's the main character, and the judge just hit her with a hard reality check. And now, the best part of this train wreck, the actual courtroom meltdown. Oh, because you know there was one. Witnesses inside the courtroom reported that Blake physically tensed up, started whispering furiously to her legal team, and was visibly shaking as the judge torched her case in real time. Imagine being so confident walking into court, thinking you've got this in the bag, only to end up looking like a deer in headlights as the judge obliterates your entire legal strategy.
So it kind of makes them look like they're trying to take that video now that it's out and kind of spin it in a different direction.
And Ryan Reynolds? Nowhere to be found. The same guy who loves tweeting dumb jokes and making viral moments suddenly turned into Casper the Friendly Ghost. The second things got serious. Oh, he can crack jokes on Twitter all day, but defend his wife when she's making a fool of herself in court? Nope, not a word. He knew exactly what was coming and chose to sit this disaster out.
They weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle. The genie likes to be free, okay?
And let's talk about her lawyers, because at this point, even they had to realize they were defending the legal equivalent of a dumpster fire. They stood there, watching the judge eviscerate their entire argument, probably questioning every life decision that led them to this moment. You just know that in their heads, they were thinking, why did we take this case? How did we end up here?
Your lawyers are stupid. It's like he's like being nice here. He's like, your lawyers are really stupid.
And then, in the most desperate attempt to save face, Blake and her team tried to spin this humiliating loss as a win. Oh, because of course they did. This is Hollywood, where losing is winning, failure is success, and somehow Blake thinks she can gaslight the entire world into believing this wasn't a total disaster. Except, it was.
It just blows my mind how dumb Blake Lively's team is, and how just, I guess, egocentric, maniacal that she thinks that she can tell the world, you didn't see what you actually saw with your eyes. It's insane.
Because this isn't just a legal loss. This is public shaming at its finest. This is Blake Lively's credibility going up in flames in real time. This is a courtroom meltdown so massive, so ridiculous, that it's now officially going public.
This is the audio Blake and Ryan's agent seemingly didn't want you to hear.
I wonder if you could tell us about a little bit of a mess that I gather you've been involved in.
Oh yeah. I know where you're going with this one.
Do you have notes on it?
Oh yeah. Those are the two things I said to myself.
And just when you thought things couldn't get worse for her, the judge authorizes a live audio feed of the next hearing. That's right. No more PR spin, no more Hollywood protection, no more carefully crafted TMZ leaks. The world gets front row seats to the absolute legal stupidity that is Blake Lively's case. And trust me, it's going to be glorious.
It seems insurmountable. It seems like this case cannot be settled.
A live audio feed means that everyone will hear it for themselves. No more sources close to Blake spinning some nonsense narrative. No, we're getting unfiltered, uncut, raw courtroom reality. Blake thought she could waltz into court, demand insane subpoenas, and rewrite the legal system in her favor. Instead, she walked out with the single most humiliating legal loss of her career. And honestly, she deserves every second of it.
I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public?
The judge just did the one thing Blake Lively feared the most. He authorized a live audio feed of the next hearing. That's right. Blake's courtroom stupidity is about to be broadcast for the world to hear in real time.
So he fired him. I'm a ride or die. That's why he did it. Because he basically said, okay, fine. Yeah, Ryan and Blake, I'm going to go with you. So you did that. You destroyed this man's life rather than wait.
No more TMZ leaks. No more carefully curated PR stunts. No more sources close to Blake spinning nonsense to make her look like a victim. Now, Everyone gets to listen to exactly how embarrassing this case is, with their own ears. The absolute sheer panic Blake must be feeling right now? Priceless.
Blake says she's so glad they did, but now she wants all other footage to not come forward. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, you go, girl.
She walked into this thinking she could manipulate the narrative, play the innocent Hollywood princess, and control the information that reaches the public. Instead, she just lost complete control over everything. And the best part? She knows she's cooked. That's why she fought so hard to keep this thing buried. That's why she begged the court for an extreme protective order, hoping she could keep her lies, her overreach, and her nonsense hidden. And now, it's all going public.
The judge makes a point of like, well, then why do you need 2 years worth? In her own suit, she alleges this campaign started in August. So why the reach for 2.5 years? Was nice to see the judge really sort of acknowledge that. This was the part I'm looking.
No more backroom Hollywood deals to suppress evidence. No more Ryan Reynolds scrambling to call in favors from his A-list friends to clean up this mess. No more Blake Lively pretending she's the victim while launching one of the most aggressive smear campaigns in Hollywood history.
Recent filing, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general.
Because let's be real, she has never wanted justice. She wanted power. She wanted to weaponize the courts to destroy Baldoni's life. And now that she's getting exposed in real time, the meltdown is about to be spectacular. Oh, and speaking of getting exposed, let's talk about the leaked audio that completely torched Blake and Ryan Reynolds' entire "we're innocent" act.
This dispute, these words that were said by Lively side had a clear, immediate negative impact on Baldoni's career.
This wasn't just any recording. This was a full-blown Hollywood scandal bombshell. March 2025, and we get a recording of Ari Emanuel, the CEO of WME, one of the most powerful agencies in Hollywood, flat out admitting that Baldoni was blacklisted because of Blake and Ryan. Not only did these two personally orchestrate the destruction of his career, but the way Emanuel talked about it, like it was nothing.
But what I think we're seeing now with this quote is WME absolutely got rid of him because of these things that were said. And so now he's got a clear line to get damage support.
He didn't even have the basic human decency to call Baldoni by his actual name. He called him baloney. Let that sink in.
Bad situation that Baldoni, whatever his name is doing. And it's part
It's an effed up situation. Whatever, Baldoni, whatever his name is doing. Whatever, he's your client. What a scumbag you are.
Imagine getting blacklisted by the most powerful agent in Hollywood. And not only does he fire you over some Hollywood power couple's petty revenge plot, but he also mocks you behind your back like some high school bully.
Their psychopathic request.
And Blake? She sat there, smiling, acting like she had no part in this. Ryan Reynolds? Probably cracking jokes on Twitter while privately ruining a man's entire career. And when this recording dropped, suddenly, they had a crisis on their hands.
You got a lot of people who are even a lot less powerful than Ari Emanuel who would have the power to do that, so that doesn't surprise me.
Because this isn't speculation anymore. This isn't allegations. This is proof. Blake and Ryan weren't just innocent bystanders in Baldoni's blacklisting. They made it happen. They pushed for it. And when they got caught, they ran straight to their Hollywood PR teams to spin a new narrative. But here's the best part. The podcast where this bombshell confession happened? Oh yeah, that mysteriously disappeared.
And that's why you think, like you mentioned before, that you think this video is the most damning evidence that Baldoni has so far.
I think so. And it's better than words.
Freakonomics, the podcast where Emanuel casually exposed this entire operation, suddenly lost the recording. The audio, gone. The YouTube video, oops, technical difficulties.
They didn't record the show.
The biggest Hollywood cover-up of the year just so happened to disappear. How convenient. But here's the thing about real journalists, they don't play by Hollywood's rules.
If you have somebody who has a significant amount of power in the industry and has the ability to tell stars not to go on your podcast in the future, and has general ability to make life uncomfortable for you and ask for a favor, you're more inclined to do it, right?
Someone secretly recorded it anyway. And now, that evidence is out there. Blake's entire legal strategy just collapsed under its own weight. The Victim Act? Over. The idea that Baldoni was making all this up? Gone. And now we move on to Blake's next desperate attempt to keep her house of lies from crumbling.
Okay, so I was able to read the amended complaint, which, by the way, it's very abnormal. It's almost 180 pages, 400 and some odd paragraphs. Complaints are not normally that long, but this one has to be for public consumption.
Because after getting publicly humiliated, exposed for blacklisting a man, and caught in a cover-up attempt, what does she do? She tries to spin a court ruling as a win. Oh, because of course she does.
Whatever, he's your client. What a scumbag you are.
She begged the judge for an extreme protective order, one that would have basically allowed her to hide anything and everything she wanted from the public. She didn't just want to keep sensitive documents private. She wanted a full-blown information lockdown. Why? Because she knows that if this case goes to trial, she's done.
That was what the fight was over.
So Blake Lively, her team wanted to have a rubber stamp that said attorney's eyes only, and they wanted to use it in their discretion on any document they wanted.
Yeah.
And that presumably would make it an attorney's eyes only designation unless
she knows that all the evidence, the texts, the emails, the proof that she and Ryan Reynolds manipulated this whole thing will come out. And when that happens, her carefully curated Hollywood image is going straight into the trash. But the judge? He wasn't falling for it. He straight up rejected her request, because as much as Blake and Ryan want to believe they're above the law, the legal system isn't their personal playground.
I think this is inching towards that percentage of lawsuits that don't settle. We could very well see a trial in this case.
The judge made it clear. There will be no sealing of documents, no hiding behind fake privacy claims, no censorship of evidence. His ruling? Very few secrets will stay hidden if this case goes to trial. Translation? Blake, your entire game is over. And Baldoni's legal team? They saw right through her. His attorney called her out, roasting her pathetic attempt to frame this as a win. Because this was never about privacy. It was about controlling the narrative. She wanted the power to cherry-pick what the public sees. She wanted to decide which documents get exposed and which ones mysteriously disappear into the Hollywood black hole.
Yeah, not only did she want a protective order, but she wanted the right to unilaterally designate documents as attorney's eyes only. And that's a higher designation than confidential, because what it means is only the attorneys could see those documents, not the parties.
And now, that plan is officially dead. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. Blake Lively, the same woman who has spent months leaking selective information to the press, weaponizing the media, planting biased narratives, is now suddenly terrified of too much information getting out. I wonder why. And let's be real, she never cared about protecting anyone's privacy. If she did, she wouldn't have spent the last year trying to drag every aspect of Baldoni's personal life into court. She wanted full access to his private life, but the second the court says, "Okay, but we get to look at your mess too," suddenly she's crying about privacy violations. She wanted to play judge, jury, and executioner. And now that the actual judge has called her out, she's scrambling for cover, but it's too late.
So her testimony is super important in this case. And if you can show the jury that she's lied, juries don't like liars.
The ruling is clear. The trial will be public. The evidence will be public. The courtroom audio will be public. And Blake Lively is out of options. And just like that, Blake Lively is officially the loneliest person in Hollywood.
I mean, that first subpoena, as you pointed out when we talked on our prior show, it was massively overbroad. It basically asked for everything under the sun. And it was crazy. And it was never going to get granted in full. So I'm surprised they didn't back off and try to do a little more tailored at the beginning.
Where are her powerful, influential friends? Where's the Hollywood girl squad that used to parade around like they were untouchable? Where's Taylor Swift, Gigi Hadid, the A-list besties who were always by her side when times were good? Gone. Silent. Vanished into thin air. Because Hollywood smells a sinking ship from a mile away, and right now, Blake Lively is practically Titanicking in real time. It's actually hilarious. She spent years portraying herself as Hollywood royalty, giving empowerment speeches about sisterhood, feminism, and standing together. But now, Not a single one of her so-called friends is willing to stand next to her as this disaster unfolds. Taylor Swift? Completely distancing herself. Not a peep of support from the woman who once called Blake her ride or die. Not even a cryptic Instagram post, a fake show of solidarity, nothing. Gigi Hadid? Nowhere to be found. Hollywood elites? Radio silence. Even Ryan Reynolds, her own husband, hasn't said a single word in her defense. You know it's bad when your own partner won't even put out a lukewarm statement of support. And don't forget, Ryan Reynolds is the same guy who loves attention. He'll crack jokes about literally anything. But suddenly, when his wife is getting legally obliterated and publicly humiliated, silence. Because he knows better than to tie himself to this disaster. He'd rather stand 10 feet away, pretending he doesn't see the flames, hoping this whole thing burns out before it consumes him too. Meanwhile, witnesses are straight up refusing to testify because they're terrified of Blake's Hollywood influence. That's right. TMZ reported that people who actually know what happened are too scared to come forward because they know what Blake Lively is capable of behind the scenes.
You don't want to believe that execs at the very tippity top are being essentially threatened or bullied or coerced or extorted and by a couple like Ryan and Blake or like Taylor Swift, right?
Let's just pause and acknowledge how insane that is. She's supposedly the victim in all of this, right? The powerless actress who's been wronged. Then why are people too afraid to testify against her? Because this was never about justice. This was about control. And Blake loved having that control. Until, of course, she lost it. And now she's panicking because her power is slipping. Her Hollywood cloud is evaporating.
So let me walk through that. Let's say that Blake Lively's attorneys have a text message that they don't want to turn over to Justin Baldoni and his crew because they're afraid that somebody over there, and when we talk about parties, Justin Baldoni's a party, Wayfair's a party.
Yeah.
And in the most desperate move possible, she and Ryan Reynolds went full supervillain and brought in the big guns. Enter Nick Shapiro. Yes, you read that right. Blake Lively just hired a former CIA agent to clean up her PR disaster, and not just any random CIA guy.
Another AEO category in the protective order is security measures taken by parties or third parties. So,
Nick Shapiro, former deputy chief of staff of the CIA, now working as Blake Lively's personal spin doctor. Let that sink in. This is a Hollywood actress in a defamation lawsuit, and instead of hiring a regular PR firm like every other celebrity who's been caught lying, she literally called in a former intelligence officer. And not just any intelligence officer, one with a history of covering up major political scandals.
the judge points out that, look, the Wayfarer parties have suggested that security measures are not relevant to this proceeding, but they have not raised objections to such information being kept AEO if it is disclosed.
Nick Shapiro is the same guy who helped spread false narratives in the media, was part of the Hunter Biden laptop cover-up, specializes in gaslighting the public on behalf of elites. So let's just ask the obvious question. Why does an actress need a former CIA agent to handle?
You can't disclose that because somebody, a reporter or somebody from TMZ, somebody could interpret this information and understand it, and maybe
harm somebody.
Next thing you know, you're sitting by Ryan Reynolds having a conversation with him that he's not all that happy about. So.
Because this isn't just a PR crisis anymore. This is a full-blown government-level cover-up. Blake and Ryan aren't just playing Hollywood politics anymore. They're pulling intelligence agency tactics to rewrite history, manipulate the media, and destroy evidence. And the second Shapiro was hired, guess what happened? The New York Times magically drops a hit piece on Justin Baldoni. Wow, what a coincidence. What perfect timing. The same New York Times that has been known to push political narratives on command just happened to publish a takedown piece against Baldoni, right when Blake needed it. Tell me this isn't straight-up coordinated media manipulation. This isn't about justice. This isn't about clearing her name. This is about using power to crush an opponent. And Blake Lively is treating this lawsuit like an actual war. And the funniest part? It's still not working.
He's giving these 4 categories that are going to be allowed to be attorney's eyes only, but not only that, just because somebody marks something AEO, that's something that Brian Friedman and Baldoni or any of the parties in this case could bring to the judge and say, I don't think that's a proper designation.
Oh, sure.
Because despite all this effort, all the lies, all the manipulation, all the hired PR goons, Blake Lively is still losing. Justin Baldoni just won a major legal victory, and Blake's case has been exposed as a complete joke.
Blake Lively had changed some stuff up in her amended complaint. Now she is describing that dancing scene very differently than she did in her first complaint.
The judge's ruling didn't just reject her ridiculous legal requests. It exposed just how insane they really were. Blake claimed she needed privacy protections, but the judge made it clear. Nope. The evidence is going public. The case isn't getting sealed. All her secrets coming out for the world to see. And Ryan Reynolds, still silent, not even a fake, I support my wife Instagram post. Nothing. Because even he knows this is a losing battle. The one thing Blake and Ryan could never explain away. A Hollywood executive, on tape, confirming that they personally blacklisted Baldoni. Game over. That's not an allegation anymore. That's not a rumor. That is proof. And that's why all the CIA PR spin in the world won't save her. Because you can't rewrite reality. You can't erase evidence that's already out in the open. You can't gaslight the public when the receipts are right there. Blake thought she could manipulate the legal system, twist the media, and use Hollywood power to win this case. She was wrong. Reality hit back. Hard. And now, she's out of moves. Her career is imploding in real time. Her Hollywood connections are abandoning her. Her case is a complete disaster. And her next courtroom humiliation could be the final nail in her coffin. Blake Lively's downfall is happening in real time, and the worst is yet to come. Subscribe for the next courtroom humiliation.